The United States has long been known as a nation of immigrants, but immigration policies have sparked debate and controversy throughout its history. From open borders in the early years to strict quotas, mass deportations, and sweeping reforms, U.S. immigration policies have mirrored the political, social, and economic concerns of each era. In recent decades, the issue has become even more divisive, with immigration laws shifting dramatically under different administrations. One of the most controversial periods in modern immigration history occurred during Donald Trump's presidency, when his administration enacted some of the strictest policies in decades, including family separations, increased deportations, and an aggressive push to build a border wall. With legal battles mounting and widespread fear in immigrant communities, the U.S. immigration debate has reached a new level of urgency. Today, we'll take a deep dive into the history of U.S. immigration, exploring how policies have changed over time, the challenges each era has faced, and the lasting impact of the Trump administration's approach. If you find this topic interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Your support helps us bring more insightful content to you. In the early years of American history, immigration was largely unrestricted, with European settlers arriving in large numbers. However, as the population grew, concerns over who should be allowed to enter the country began to emerge. The first significant immigration law was the Naturalization Act of 1790, which restricted U.S. citizenship to free white persons of good character. This law effectively excluded enslaved individuals, indigenous people, and non-white immigrants from gaining legal status. By the 19th century, immigration increased dramatically, particularly with waves of Irish and German migrants seeking better opportunities in America. However, as new ethnic groups arrived, opposition to immigration grew, leading to some of the first restrictive laws. One of the most infamous early immigration laws was the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, which banned Chinese laborers from entering the country, and was the first federal law to target a specific ethnic group. This act set the stage for future restrictive policies, as the government sought to control the racial and ethnic makeup of the U.S. population. In 1924, the Immigration Act further tightened immigration by establishing a quota system based on national origin. The law heavily favored Northern and Western European immigrants, while drastically reducing the number of Southern and Eastern Europeans, as well as virtually barring immigration from Asia and Africa. This system remained in place for decades, reinforcing racial and ethnic hierarchies in U.S. immigration policy. A major turning point in U.S. immigration policy came with the passage of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. Signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson, this legislation eliminated racial quotas and instead prioritized family reunification and skilled workers. This led to a significant shift in the demographics of immigration, with an increase in migrants from Asia, Latin America, and Africa. While the reform was celebrated as a victory for equality, it also ignited political debates about the growing diversity of the country and concerns over illegal immigration. As immigration increased in the late 20th century, both legal and undocumented, the issue became a major focus in political debates. Some viewed immigrants as contributors to the economy and cultural enrichment, while others saw them as a strain on resources and a threat to national security. These tensions would only grow in the following decades, leading to some of the most contentious policies in American history. By the early 2000s, immigration had become a central political issue, especially after the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. In response, President George W. Bush tightened border security and introduced measures to monitor immigrants more closely. His administration created the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE agency, to enforce immigration laws more strictly. However, Bush also pushed for comprehensive immigration reform, including a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, though these efforts ultimately failed in Congress. When Barack Obama took office in 2009, immigration remained a major issue. While many expected Obama to take a more lenient approach, his administration oversaw the deportation of over 3 million undocumented immigrants, more than any previous president. This earned him the nickname Deporter-in-Chief among critics. However, Obama also introduced DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, in 2012, which provided temporary protection from deportation to undocumented immigrants who had arrived as children. His attempt at comprehensive immigration reform, which would have created a pathway to citizenship for millions, was blocked by Republicans in Congress. Donald Trump made immigration the centerpiece of his 2016 presidential campaign, promising to build a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border and crack down on undocumented immigration. Once in office, he enacted some of the strictest immigration policies in modern history, leading to widespread controversy and legal challenges. One of his first actions was the 2017 travel ban, which blocked entry from several Muslim-majority countries. Critics called it a Muslim ban and argued it was discriminatory, while Trump defended it as a necessary step for national security. After multiple legal battles, a revised version of the ban was upheld by the Supreme Court. Perhaps the most infamous policy of the Trump administration was the family separation policy, part of a broader zero-tolerance approach to illegal border crossings. Under this policy, thousands of children were forcibly separated from their parents and placed in detention centers. The images of children in cages sparked outrage both in the U.S. and internationally. Trump also intensified ICE raids and mass deportations, targeting workplaces, homes, and sanctuary cities. Over 900,000 people were deported under his administration. He attempted to end DACA, though the Supreme Court blocked the move. Meanwhile, his push to build a border wall met resistance from Congress, but he managed to divert military funds to continue construction. Upon assuming office in January 2021, President Joe Biden initiated a series of executive actions aimed at reversing many of the restrictive immigration policies implemented by the previous administration. One of his early actions was to propose comprehensive immigration reform legislation, which included provisions for granting citizenship to certain immigrants who receive temporary protected status, or TPS benefits. Under this proposal, TPS recipients who meet specific conditions could apply immediately for green cards, allowing them to become lawful permanent residents. Furthermore, These individuals would be eligible to apply for citizenship 3 years after obtaining a green card, expediting the naturalization process compared to the standard 5-year requirement. Throughout his first 3 years in office, the Biden administration demonstrated a record level of activity on immigration, advancing 605 immigration-related executive actions as of December 6, 2023. This surpasses the 472 actions taken during the Trump administration's first term, which was also considered notably active in this policy area. These actions encompassed various aspects of immigration policy, including border enforcement, interior enforcement, humanitarian protection, and legal admissions. Despite these efforts, the administration faced challenges in implementing its immigration agenda, encountering legal obstacles, political opposition, and complex logistical issues at the U.S.-Mexico border. In his second term, Trump has intensified his immigration enforcement policies. One of the most controversial actions includes deporting undocumented immigrants to a military detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Flights have already transported deportees there, with an executive order preparing Guantanamo to house up to 30,000 individuals. The administration aims for large-scale deportations of 15 to 20 million people, potentially using military support. Trump has increased deportation flights using U.S. military aircraft to countries like Colombia, El Salvador, India, Ecuador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Venezuela. Mexico has reinforced its northern border, though it has not allowed U.S. military planes to land. The administration has also reinstated a ban on asylum access at the southern border, leading to legal challenges from immigration advocacy groups. Critics argue that these policies not only violate international human rights laws, but also instill fear in immigrant communities, with many afraid to go to work, school, or even seek medical care. The history of U.S. immigration is filled with contradictions, balancing openness with restriction, welcoming immigrants while building barriers. From the restrictive policies of the early 20th century to the landmark reforms of 1965, and from the deportation-heavy Obama era to Trump's crackdown, immigration has remained one of the most contentious and defining issues in American politics. What do you think? Should the U.S. continue its crackdown on undocumented immigration, or should it adopt a more lenient and humanitarian approach? Let us know in the comments. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.